Hi everyone, Zach with Magnum Bikes. Today we're going to go over a build on our all-new Magnum Peak T5. We're going to be doing a basic assembly today. In your box, you're going to find your 48-volt charger, your front fender, the rear is already installed, as well as your pair of pedals. The first thing we're going to do today is install our handlebars. Before we install our handlebars, a quick hack I've come up with is to remove the two 2.5mm bolts for the display. That's just going to clean it up a little bit and again make your life a lot easier. Now that we've got our display removed, we're going to go ahead and remove our 4mm faceplate bolts here. Now, I've loosened mine a little bit, but again we want to use that star pattern. Take your time here. Slide that faceplate under those wires there. Now that we have our handlebars situated back onto the stem and we've loosely refit our display bracket, we're going to lift these two wires up and reinstall that faceplate. Take your time here again, it's kind of a tight fit. There we are. Now that we have our faceplate reinstalled, we're going to go through and tighten these 4mm bolts, again using that star pattern like I'm showing here. And then we'll go ahead and reinstall our display bracket. Once we get our handlebars squared away, we're going to go ahead and install our pedals. Take note, the thread pitches on your right and left-hand sided pedal do differ. You can clearly tell the pedal will be stamped with either an R or an L, or will include a sticker for right and left-hand side. Before we install them, we're going to apply just a little bit of a light grease. Here I'm using Park Tools Poly Lube. You can use whatever is readily available to you, of course. And we'll just spread that around those threads. At this point, once you've got your grease applied and the orientation of your pedals noted, you're going to be able to install the pedal and just pedal backwards, and you'll feel those threads engage. Of course, with any sort of blockage or friction more than normal, go ahead and stop, reassess, and start over. Step around and do the left-hand side. Now once you get those pedals threaded in, you're either going to use a bike-specific pedal wrench with a 15mm opening or a 15mm box wrench that you have at home, whichever is more readily available. And we're going to get these nice and tight. As a load-bearing piece, you want those pedals about as tight as you can get them. And there we go. All right, we're on the home stretch here. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and install our front fender and then the front wheel. To install that fender, there's a 5mm bolt on the back of your brake bridge here. Go ahead and remove that. And there we are. And I'm going to reposition myself just to make it a little easier for me. Install that bolt through the fender. Back into the brake bridge. I like to hold the fender as high up as I can for max mud clearance in the future. There we are. And then our last step is to install the front wheel. Now on the Peak T5 and T7, we're proud to say that we are now using a through axle front fork. All right, our last step on our Peak build today is going to be installing the front wheel. The Peak T5 and T7 are our first production bikes to use a through axle fork. This helps with disc brake placements and rigidity. and it's a much more modern standard. We'll put a little bit of grease on the shaft of the through axle as well as the threads. Set our grease down. Smear that around, get a nice even coat. Just like with our quick release products, go ahead and position that fork up into the dropouts and watch that rotor. Here we are. And that's going to use a 6mm Allen wrench to snug that up. And we want this pretty tight as well. A lot of perceived torque on this piece here. And you'll see me really snug that up here. And that's going to do it. Just a couple more quick things before we hit the road. What you're going to want to do is remove your seat post like I've done here, and take about a dime-sized amount of that grease that we used on our pedals and smear that around the inside of your seat tube here. This will prevent your seat post from getting stuck in the future. Warp off there. And reinstall that seat post. Make sure that quick release is nice and tight also, as again, it's a weight-bearing piece. And there we go. Lastly, go ahead and hop on your new bike. Now we're going to do a couple of things here. Mostly we're going to make sure that the stem is aligned with the front wheel. Then we're going to use a 5mm Allen wrench and snug up our two side bolts on the stem here. Once you've done this, I highly encourage you to do a full nut and bolt check of the bike, and then take it around your neighborhood, your apartment complex, what have you, for a quick shakedown ride, and then hit the road. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for choosing Magnum Bikes. For more Magnum content, please like this video and subscribe below.